Folks, brace yourself. It's time for the next installment of our latest Dan Quinn series, or saga, as we're calling it to make it sound suitably epic. In our last episode, Dan found out that the evil galactic overlord Lou Holtz was actually his father. That's a different story, though. A great nonetheless, a great one. Let's pick up where we left off. After Dan does his thing, that's the show for today. We'll be back extremely soon with another edition of Carsons Corner and another great guest. Don't dare turn the show off. I'm finished talking here. You need to listen to Dan Quinn's continuing thoughts when I play them in just a few moments. All right? Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Quinn. And after that, remember to show some respect.
Let's start with Cal. I told Cal about the stevia and getting soap out of water, and Cal put stevia in water and then shook it in bottles and then ejected, a lot of the soap, but not all of it. And in 22 days, he melted 21 pounds off of that, Cal was always in shape, but, he had that softness, and he fucking mirrored his senior year in high school. Angular, cheekbones, lean neck. Yeah, in 21 days. Almost too good to be true. The porno, yes. Aaron Brink says that he will direct, perhaps co-star, depending on the format of, the violin. And I was thinking, it'd be really cool, if there were some named cage fighters out there that wouldn't mind doing, a charity porno, proceeds to go feed homeless and hungry children, in the United States. We actually have kids, right, that are going hungry in this country, and we're fucking tripping on, what we're going to buy, for Christmas and shit, me, and, so I was thinking that what I could do is play the violin, and basically light it up, light her sex on fire, and have her validate, show them how to do it, and then they could have a free-for-all, and, proceeds go to charity. And, what was the first question, Bob?
When is your fight with Rick Vardell?
That's November 13th.
Okay.
And, you know what? Yeah, I'm like Cinderella Man.
Just to give a little update on Aaron Brink here, because he's a good friend. Unfortunately, he loses his cell phone every 2 days, so it's difficult to contact him. But he's a good guy. We love him. Aaron Brink is fighting Vitor Viana at MMA Explosion. That's coming up in Las Vegas on October 9th at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. And there was some talk after his fight. That fight got a lot of publicity. And not to pat myself on the back, but I really think that some of the publicity was due to you guys being on the show so often. And after you guys fought last month, there was some talk about Aaron going into the UFC. Now, mark my words, I think it's definitely conceivable that this guy can go into the UFC. If he beats this guy, Viana, who supposedly is a phenom at 9-1-1, if he's in good shape, he can wind up in the UFC.
That would be fantastic. Aaron invited me out to Vegas because there's going to be some kind of porn industry thing going on, right?
Okay.
And, this is an open invitation for any one of my homeboys in Sacramento. Big E from the North Sacramento chapter of the Vagos. Would you drive out and be my bodyguard? Because Aaron said that, I can bring a friend and, play the violin on some fine, exquisite, willing, pussy, and get the whole thing rolling.
I like the cougar. I like the cougar in that one video, Dan. She was nice.
Well, you know what? Yeah, she's gorgeous, man. She doesn't look as you've only seen her on film. She looks. She's. You can't even. She looks a lot better. In person, guaranteed. Yeah, she's fine, and I think she's a little shy, and it is what it is. But the violin works, and as a matter of fact, I called Aaron's number, and Jay answered, and we had a conversation, and it kind of like got garbled, and it was kind of hard to tell. You know how like you're sticking with it, but words get twisted. And then I didn't know if we were having like an argument or if it was. I thought it was going good, and he called back. Well, that was Jay Ashley, okay, from like an even bigger star according to Dick Delaware than he is. And this guy's fucking cool, man. So I'm thinking, it's funny how cage fighters, are basically on the bottom end of the spectrum of the financial pyramid. I don't really see any, well, except for maybe like Kale Sonnen, okay?
Yeah, who tested positive for drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the self-made. This is the self-made guy who talks a lot of trash. He tests positive for drugs. He appealed the finding, and now he won't fight in California. He probably won't fight in the UFC for a while, but he should be cut. If the UFC,
well, you know what? I don't want to get into Kale. What I want to do is talk about the worthiness of guys that just like in Fight Club. Okay, seriously, me kind of like Tyler Durden. I'll tell you what, stevia acting as a stronger stimulant than cocaine with a good attorney in a federal court suing the United States government for conflict of interest because the FDA seized stevia and kept it off the American shelves. So people didn't have any idea what it did, what it does. We're all fucking, and wow, you would replace cocaine so people that are getting in trouble and feeding the system, because that's what they want, they can stay home, right? And, it fucking, it really angers me.
You know what, Dan? I got to tell you, I'm reading a book about this, about the whole war on drugs and the demonization of drugs in this country and the demagoguery by certain people. And there's a book out there, and if you can read it, if you have a little extra money, I recommend picking up. It's called The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. It's by Michelle Alexander. And it talks about how African Americans really have been enslaved throughout our society, whether it was actual slavery in the 1800s from then the Jim Crow laws, and then segregated schools, and then now
well,
it's.
Of course, I mean, they didn't even when they freed the slaves, they freed them into the lower rung of an economic tyranny. Okay,
exactly.
He didn't give them any reparations. Didn't try to make up for lack of schooling, education. Basically, they gave them their walking papers and straight into pink slips. Oh, you better work, or you're going to starve, okay? And the funny thing about it is the rich, they divide this country in so many ways, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can't, some high school football games, for Christ's sakes, it's dangerous on the field and people are getting shot in the parking lot, okay, because of rivalries, And, it's all basically by design, okay? Why is football the number one sport in America? Isn't football number one?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's because it's a combat sport, and most guys aren't good enough to make it to the next level, and so they're already indoctrinated to asshole. I mean, I'll tell you what, I hope nothing that I'm saying comes back and negatively reflects on my kids, and their relationships with my son, who's playing football. And but I guess that his talent's already, first year, and he's seen the field and putting people out with concussions in the practice, just like his dad did. But I'll tell you what, most people don't make it to the next level, okay? And what do? They're fucking... how many times sent to war? I mean, this country doesn't even take care of the people that do go to war. If you get a limb shot off, all right, you're taken care of for the rest of your life. But if you're mentally fucked up, okay, which is sometimes even worse because, you can't see it, but it holds you back, they don't get shit. Those guys are picking through garbage cans, right, because they went to fucking defend America, right, and it makes me sick. It really does when, maloots are fucking having $800 bottles of champagne, man, and acting like it's all fucking cool. When I was at Notre Dame, I made the most expensive wine coolers ever with Marty Lippincott. Marty got like 4 or 6 bottles of like $400 to $600 wine, and we got a huge fucking tub, and I poured that shit in there, and we poured 7-Up in there, and we made a mockery of it all. But you know what? Money is the root of all evil, and if an ecosystem, an economic one like the United States, there has to be an even flow, okay? What goes in has to come back, all right? You know, did I say it correctly? But if there's a watershed of billionaires at the top that are siphoning all this money out, they're going to drive the country up just like they've done. And you know what? It's economic war 101, all right?
No, absolutely. It's class warfare, and our class is losing. And you know, Dan, you talk so eloquently about the art of distraction and how the politicians use that. Well, let me go back to what I was talking about. In the 1980s, when we had the so-called war on drugs in this country, of course, drugs were associated with African Americans. And, you know, the Republican Party, Ronald Reagan really, really hammered this issue and started talking about war on drugs, and they ratcheted up the rhetoric. And what happened was 64% of Americans believed that the number one problem facing America was drugs. 64%. Not, you know, the inequality between rich and poor, not our underfunded school systems, not, you know, our criminal justice. It's drugs, and that is the type of distraction that distracts us really from what is going on in this country. It's very, very unfortunate. The rich. We were talking a moment ago about slavery. Well, you know, after slavery ended, blacks and poor whites started to band together, and then came Jim Crow law. The Jim Crow laws, which separated those two classes and separated any type of unity. And that's really what the goal is in this country. They don't want us to be united. They want us to be divided.
They want division, just like on the Internet, supposedly to bring us together, but we get on there and we're inundated with all this bullshit, all these scams trying to take our money. You know, I think Obama should institute the Internet law, okay, and have, you know, like a commission that, you know, takes every one of these offers up, okay, to see if it's actually going to fucking give what they say, and the people that are lying, they go to jail. He cleans that shit up, all right? There's a lot of things that Obama could do. Obama could save his presidency and save the United States if he outlawed toxic sweets. Sugar illegal, because, you know, diabetes and obesity, and the chemical ones because they're making people fucking sick, and they're ruining the environment to make them, okay? Switch it to stevia, and I'll tell you what, we're going to have an overpopulation problem, huge, because people are going to stop dying. People that are sick now are going to come back healthy when they get on pure H2O. It's going to be a whole different problem. But you know what? Basically, that's a good problem to have, I think, compared to the alternative. And where we're going, we're not going to have anything left for our kids. And I think that's by design.
Absolutely, it is. Because, I mean, look at conservatives like William F. Buckley, who during the 1950s had a TV show, and he's actually admitted that the best thing for America is to have an oligarchy where a few families, a few rich people control everything, because that'll keep the middle class in line. If they can shrink the middle class, we won't have movements like the civil rights movement. We won't have movements like the labor movement. We won't have movements like the women's movement here, where women were not allowed to vote for, you know, hundreds of years in this country, and finally, women were allowed to vote in the 1960s. So that's really the whole goal. The middle class puts up the fight. The poor do not. The poor do not have any type of microphone. They don't have any type of connections in Washington D.C., and that is the whole goal. Why else?
And the middle class doesn't give a fuck about the poor.
And you know something? Why else would we be talking about tax cuts for the rich? We know that tax cuts for the rich bankrupt our society. They, the only people that prospers from tax cuts from the rich are the rich. They don't spend it. It doesn't trickle down.
Bottom line, brother. Okay, I know for a fact that like the war on drugs. Put it like this: Mel Gibson's character in Tequila Sunrise, Mark Brannon. Okay, Mark Brannon in San Diego, Encinitas, California, Lucchetti area. He was huge. his friend, now will this get me in trouble? Because it's in the past, but his Raul Julia friend, that's Jorge Hank Roan, okay? Governor of Baja California. And no shit, I mean, they can make a movie, Tequila Sunrise Revisited, brother, and this is no shit. I'm a sophomore in high school, and I'm about to punch Mel Gibson out, Mark Brandon. If I fucking punch, he is getting his ass whipped, and he's going back to the federal pen for a year, all right? And what I do as a sophomore, I look at him, and because we're on El Camino Real, man, it's fucking, it's like rush hour traffic. And I say, are we clear what happened here? Are we clear? And he nods his head, and I said, bounce. So he loved me, man. Can you imagine, you know, a young kid like that fucking getting his advantage and not fucking, you know, that was what knights do, homie. And he told me that the government was fucking funding shit, you know, really, making sure that shipments got across, okay? And you know what? It's all a big fucking game. Now, I'm saying that my idea will make trillions of dollars. Seriously, it's simple, okay? Put stevia in water, get all the soap out after you blend, and you make the fountain of youth. That becomes the most sought-after drink on the planet. Everybody wants it, and if it's sold for $1 a gallon, everybody needs to drink about a gallon of water a day, right? Give or take. So that's about $1 a day from everybody on the planet at a point in the future. And what I'm asking for is for people to wake the fuck up, okay, Bob, and get on stevia, all right? Do you realize that if you had stayed the course